Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be listing off a total of 15 books that you guys should totally check out and read. However, I am not going to go into full detail on each and every book because there are 15. As you can tell, this is a long list. But if you would like a full info kind of video on each book individually, then please feel free to check out all of the book reviews that I have already done on each one of these books individually. And I will also make sure to have all of those videos linked down in the description box for you guys to check out. So, let's get to knocking down this list. Alright guys, so the first book that I would recommend to you guys is called Unravel by Kalia Reed. This book, I actually recently read this one a few weeks ago, and it's really, really good. If I had to choose, if I had to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, this would definitely be a 10 out of 10 because it is that good. So, yeah. And this is a good book to read if you are someone that is planning, that's like really into psychology and is planning to be a psychiatrist someday. The second book on the list is actually book 2 to the first one. This one is called Unhinged, also by Kalia Reed. In the first book, it has this one character that the main character kind of talks about or always mentions. And when I bought this, before I bought this, I read the summary on the back of the book, and I realized, I was like, okay, this has to be about that one character that was mentioned multiple times in the first book. I rate this one a 10 out of 10 because it's, like I said, it's really good, and it's well written as well. And just a little disclaimer, I'm not gonna put them on the floor even though I clean the floor, so I'm just tossing them off to the side onto my bed instead, because I do have a kitten that likes to chew on everything because she's only 4 months old. That's a whole other video though. The next book on the list is 13 Reasons Why. Milo, I'm filming. Milo, I'm filming, boo. I'm filming. Thank you. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have seen the movie on Netflix. I, to be honest with you, have not seen the movie to this yet, but I have read the book, and the last time I read this, I think I read this in, it was so long ago. I want to say that I read this, I think, for my freshman year of high school. I don't exactly remember, because I remember I had to read a book over the summer and then do a book report on it. By the way, if you hear a noise in the background, it's the kitten that I was just referring to, because, yeah. But the book is really good. I have not seen the movie yet, so I'm not gonna talk about the movie. That's gonna be for a completely different video that I have planned. But the book is definitely a 10 out of 10. This really did make me cry, not gonna lie. It's a little dusty because I haven't read it in a few years, but that's okay. So I would definitely recommend reading this and then watching the movie afterwards, because the book is really good, but like I said, I can't speak for the movie because I have not seen that yet, so I can only speak for the book. Moving on to book number 4, The Glass Castle. This book, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like it at first because we actually had to read this book my freshman year of high school, and let me tell you, it was a disaster. It was awful. It was just awful. Looking back at it, it wasn't so bad as I thought it was, and it's actually something that is kind of up my alley. Milo, please stop. Thank you. I think looking back, like 3 or 4 years ago, I never would have picked this up, or I never would have read it. But now that it's been a while since I actually did read this book, and have really had time to sit and think about it and everything like that, it is actually something that I would read, which is weird. But I definitely rate this probably a 9.5 out of 10, just because the first time I read it, I was not a big fan of it. Moving on. Hopefully my phone does not die by the time I get this. Next book is called Speak. Now this, I think I read this, I don't know if I read this freshman year or sophomore year. It was one of those two. It's a really good book. I definitely recommend it. And I feel like this book is definitely something a lot of people out there in the world, me included, can really relate to. It's, like I said, I'm not really going to go into full depth about the book because I already did that in a separate video, which will be linked down in the description. But this is a 10 out of 10, and I would actually reread this, not gonna lie. Moving on, book number 6. This one's called Dr. Frankenstein's Daughters. Now, I have not actually read any book that has to do with Frankenstein himself, but this book is really, really good, and it's what I'm assuming happens after that whole, like, Frankenstein story stuff. I don't know. I've only read this is the only book about that has to do with, like, Frankenstein related that I have read. But this is a really good book. I have not read this since 7th grade, but if you're kind of like a fan of, wow, this came out in 2013, wow. But this is a really good book. I rate this book like a 9.5 out of 10, but I definitely recommend you reading this because the imagery is just so good. Moving on. This is something that I know a lot of people either hated or loved, especially at school. The Secret Garden, 10 out of 10 for sure. This is the type of book that actually has, like, the photos as well, has photos in it as well. Now, I don't remember going to see the movie. I don't think I've ever seen the movie. I can't exactly remember, but I definitely remember, I think it was sophomore year, we went to go see the play for this, and it was incredible. But I definitely will highly recommend you guys to read the book. I don't know if there's I don't know if there is 20 chapters in like a hardcover copy of the book, but this is definitely a good one and I suggest reading it. Moving on to book number 8. Took me a minute there because I'm not wearing my glasses. Now, I am gonna be honest with you. This one is definitely for all of the comic geeks out there. And I do know, I remember having a friend in, I think, middle school, like late elementary school, early middle school, who would be reading all of like these Warriors books. But this one is Warriors, Tiger Star, and Sasha Into the Woods. This, I definitely give it, I'm going to have to give this a 5 out of 10. Only because it left me with a cliffhanger, and I hate when things like that happen. And this is actually a comic book, in a way. Like, it's just comics, as you can see. Which, this is the only book that I actually have that is a comic book, surprisingly. I just don't remember really being into comics that well. Like, you can tell this book is really old because this page is ripped. But because of, like, the discoloration and everything, like, it doesn't, I don't think it even says when it came out. No, it doesn't. But, yeah, definitely a 5 out of 10 because it left me with a cliffhanger, and I'm not really into, like, comics and everything, but it is a really good book. I haven't even read any of the other books, to be honest with you. Next up, this I read in 5th grade, and you can definitely tell that this is like really old and has some damage to it. Like, these pages are not even connected to the book anymore, but I'm pretty sure everybody has like seen this movie that has to do with like Marley and Me, but this is the book that's called Marley, a Dog Like No Other. And this is based off, this is all like true, and you can definitely tell because of like all of like the photos. And like I said, I can't really flip to show you all the photos because, one, this book is really old. I've had this book for almost 9 years now, and it's literally just like falling apart on me. But I rated a 9 out of 10 just because it's really sad. It's based on a true story, but it's really sad. This I remember reading in like my English class every once in a while after our like exams we had to do, and I just remember I would randomly start crying, and the teacher and everybody in the class was like, "What is wrong with you?" Next up is Guilt by Catherine Longshore. This is a really good book. I highly recommend this. It's a 10 out of 10. I have not read this since 8th grade, and we had to do like, it was somewhat of like a book project we had to do, but it was like, we had this thing called PC books. Basically we pick a book of our liking, we get it approved by our teacher, and then we read it, and then we pick like an assignment. Like, we usually, I remember for like this one book we had to do like a PowerPoint, and I just remember just basically reading a summary just to do the project because I didn't want to read the book. I read like the beginning part of the book and I just hated it. This one I highly recommend. Like, this is the book that got me into trouble in my 8th grade science class. I was sitting in the back of the room just read. That's a whole other story. I'll get into that in like a separate video because that is definitely a good story you guys need to hear. But yeah, this is a really good book. I don't remember. It kind of does kind of leave off somewhat of a cliffhanger. It definitely ends, but it makes you think, well, what's going to happen next? Like, is there a book 2 to this? I actually kind of don't know if there's a book 2. I kind of want to look that up. Definitely 10 out of 10, and I highly recommend it, especially if you are a person that likes kind of like history in a way. Like, I'm not really big on history, but it's a really good book. Okay, next, book number 11. I feel like I have so many more books left, but at the same time I feel like I don't. This is called Tell Me. Obviously, I don't have to tell you the author because you're probably looking at it, but this is a really good book. I've only read it once. I just got a TikTok notification. I don't care right now, though. Basically, like I said, I have separate videos doing book reviews on all of these books. It's really good. 10 out of 10. I highly recommend you read this, especially if you are someone who loves music and stuff like that. Next up, I'm pretty sure there's so many fans out there, Rick Riordan fans out there. The Lightning Thief. I remember reading this in my 6th grade English class, and then we watched the movie, and it was awesome. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually prefer the book over the movie, just because the book is way more detailed, and, you know, I just prefer the book. So 10 out of 10, and if you have not read this, then I'm sorry, you've been living under a rock. Next up is The Sea of Monsters. Again, another Rick Riordan book. I remember I read this, and then I watched the movie, and then I was like, I kind of like the movie a lot better than the book for this one. But the book is still really good. To me, it just wasn't, like, as, you know, detailed as the first one. Whereas the movie, I felt like, just cut to the chase and, you know. But it's still a 10 out of 10. I have not read any of the other books after this one, and I don't have any of the other movies. I only have The Lightning Thief and The Sea of Monsters for both book and movie. Definitely recommend reading it. Next is Unfriended. Now, I'm pretty sure there is a movie called Unfriended, but I'm pretty sure that is completely different from this book. Haven't read this in a while, but this book is definitely really good, and it kind of has, like, you know, at the start of every new chapter, it's like this, like, email type of thing. I don't really know how else to describe it. I don't even think it shows, like, text messages. Probably not. I don't know. It's, like, in, like, poem format, kind of. But this is a really good book. 10 out of 10. I would definitely recommend reading this. I kind of want to reread this, though, because it's really good. It's about I think it's about, like, a friendship gone wrong, which this is definitely something a lot of us can relate to. And last but not least, Beyond the Break by, I can't exactly pronounce her last name, but now, as you can tell, I still have, like, a sticky note because this is as far as I got to the book. I'm almost halfway through it, as you guys can tell. But I would definitely recommend this, especially if you are a person who is religious. This is a good book for religious people to read, because it definitely talks about God, like, throughout, like, the entire book. And I'm only on, like, I don't know. Let me see what chapter I'm on. I'm only on chapter 22. So, like, it talks about God mostly, so I think religious people, you will love this. I am not against any type of religion, and I'm not religious in any way, but the book is really good, and I'm pretty sure there's a movie to this too. But I have not finished it, but I will definitely be finishing this up within the next few days, and then making that video. But all of the videos for this for all of these books, I should say, will be up before this video, obviously. So, but that is pretty much all of the books, you guys. Definitely highly recommend you read them. Alright guys, so that's it for today's video. Please make sure to be subscribed, have post notifications on, and drop a like. And if you're new to the crew, please subscribe to join the KLB Club. And I will see you guys in the next video. Till then, bye!